So last week we talked about a transition in leadership and direction for the people of Israel, how they grieved their ancestors. We grieved our ancestors on All Saints' Day. We talked about how they move forward together, how they look back, the grief goes with them, and threads from their ancestors go with them, but they don't honor Moses. We don't honor our ancestors by reliving their lives, right? We honor them by starting where they left off and moving forward. Sometimes it looks different than what our ancestors have done, and that's how we honor them, right? By moving forward and trusting that God is with us. Today's text, we get to see how they move forward. And I want to pull on one thread of how they move forward that seems to continue in our faith history that I think is important for us. And that is that they move forward together, right? They move forward together. They share the responsibility. They share the leadership. It looks a little different than how they moved with Moses now that they're moving with Joshua. But they move together. Now, I know, of course, each one of you are special flowers. You're special, unique, individual, and beautiful. And I affirm all of that. And we can be secure in our identity, in our individuality, and also know that you're not made to do this, whatever this is, alone, right? You're made to do this together in community. Are you ready for your once yearly sports illustration? I ran out of good reality TV to watch a couple weeks ago. So I was watching a documentary about David Beckham, mostly because there's also a Spice Girl that's also in it, his wife, Victoria Beckham. Anyway, David Beckham is this amazing, fantastic football player, And he played in the UK for a long time, played on the very best team in Italy, like the gods of football play on. And then eventually he comes to the US to play for the LA Galaxy, I believe. And it's like going from college football to like the Pee Wee leagues, right? I don't know. Are there any U.S. soccer fans? This was some time ago, so maybe it's improved. I don't really watch. I don't really know. Anyway, in any case, he comes to the U.S. to play, and he is just one of the best players in the world. And he gets on the LA Galaxy team, and he gets started on the longest losing streak of his life. He can't do it on his own. He can still be the best of the best, but he can't win a game on his own, right? You got to pass the ball to someone. You got to play as a team. And he had to figure out, how do I rely on my teammates? How do I move forward? And once he did that, he starts winning, right? So you can keep your identity, your special snowflake, flower identity. I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I really believe you're all amazing and beautiful, and it's so important, the distinct gifts you bring. But also know that you can't do it on your own, right? We move forward together. And Joshua kind of gets this. Joshua is a leader who understands this, right? He's a different kind of leader than Moses. When he is going to do his signature miracle, right, he's going to part the river Jordan instead of the Red Sea. It's not Joshua's staff in the water like Moses's, right? When Joshua goes to do what God has given him to do, he sits back and watches, right? He supervises, while 12 priests, one from each tribe, do the heavy lifting, pun intended, right? They're carrying the Ark of the Covenant, the presence of God for the people. And Joshua sits back and watches. This is how the people know that God is with Joshua, ironically, right? They know that God is with Joshua because Joshua leads them to facilitate the way forward. And Joshua makes sure that everybody is at the table or at the ark. Everybody is represented, right? There's space for everyone. And in fact, it's required that every single tribe is represented here. This is a lot of people that we're talking about. There are arguments about how many people we should be imagining in this story, anywhere from 30,000 to 2 million. I am not an Old Testament expert, and I don't know. But in any case, it's a lot of people that are crossing over. At least this is what we should be imagining in this story. There's a lot of infighting going on between different tribes. Later, once they're in the land, there's going to be a split to the northern and southern tribes. These are not, this is a tough group to manage, I would imagine. And still, despite all of their difference, despite all of their different priorities, it's important that every group is represented. Every group participates, every group leads. And that is what is vital to the people's success in moving forward, is that they do it together, right? What's the river that you have to cross? We talked a little bit about this last week, right? What's the thing that your ancestors couldn't quite make it through, or wasn't theirs to make through, maybe? Where is it that you're heading? Where is God leading you? What is the river that's yours to cross? What's the new world that you are invited to step into? Maybe you're letting go of an abusive relationship. Maybe you're moving through your own grief. Maybe you're rediscovering yourself and your place in the world. Maybe you're stepping into a new phase in your life. Don't do it alone, right? That's the thread that we can pull forward here. This is an important one. Don't power through on your own. I get it. I liked being like Moses. Maybe you like being like Moses too, the strong one, the busy one, the one that is always independent. But Moses didn't get to cross over. Remember that. He died on the other side. And when we think back about his story, he wasn't all that independent either. In your grief, in your opportunity, in your new beginnings, the invitation is to embrace community, to share the load with each other, and to share the miracle, right? How cool would it have been to be one of those priests, right? I know I don't qualify, but we're just, reinterpreting. How cool would it be to be one of those priests? Imagine yourself, you're like helping carry the ark, you step into the Jordan, and then the water dries up? No? Nobody thinks that's cool? Okay. Can I get some head nods? I don't know. Are you with me? That would be so cool. If Joshua just did it himself, he's stealing that opportunity from everyone else, right? It's easy for us to think that everything depends on us. Everything depends on you, whether it's with your family, whether it's with your church, whether it's with things that you're passionate about, or even at work. But whose miracle are you stealing when you hold everything on your own? Whose miracle are you stealing? The people move forward together in this story. They share the responsibility and they share the gift. We are made to move forward together. Beloveds, some of you need a service sabbatical. A few weeks off to be nourished, to come and just be. That's okay if that's what you need. I think we should make it a spiritual practice that all of you have to pick 1 week a month where your spiritual practice is saying no to doing any volunteering, to doing any leadership. Just 1 week a month, right? Don't all do it on the same week, please. But to say no, to stop, to step back, and like Joshua, to get to watch while God works through others. Because God will. Some of you are ready to step forward, right? Some of you are ready to step forward and share in the responsibility and in the gift. Like maybe you haven't quite been ready before, and we need you. We actually cannot move forward without you. We've all got to be a part of this. Everybody's got to have a part, a voice, in all of our differences, and all of our different ages and cultures and parts of town that we come from and histories. We need every single one of those, and we need to make sure that nobody's doing it on their own. Nobody's carrying more than they should. This is what I love about this story, I think. And it's what I love about the church. It's what I love about God, if I think about it for very long, is that the story like this expands. We're not called to go relive this story, but we're called to start where it leaves off, right? To pull those threads that come through our faith and bring them into this space with each other as well. The story expands from here to Jesus. We see Jesus reaching for the leadership of all different kinds of people. And then we read Paul's letter about the body of Christ. Same thread that we're tugging on here, right? It takes every person, it takes everyone represented to move forward together. There's not a lot of places in the world like that. I don't know, I can't think of any other place where so many different people can come together and intentionally listen to each other, intentionally work together, feed each other, share the load, find joy, find mystery. You wouldn't all just look through Facebook and pick each other, right? This is a ragtag group. That's how the church works, right? We get to do this together in a way that we wouldn't otherwise. And we do it imperfectly. And we recalibrate, we redistribute, we look around and we make sure, is everybody's feet in the water, right? All the body parts accounted for, and we move forward together. God scoops us all up and says that we're part of the same body. We need each other. We're not alone. I know that this is hard to trust, right? Because it's hard to trust people. We've been hurt by people before. And I know it's hard to believe because everything we're taught since we're little is about self-reliance, about making your own way. This is the messaging that we get in the U.S. and other places too. There are so many reasons not to believe this thread that keeps showing up in our faith, that we need each other, that we belong to each other, that we move forward together. There's so many reasons not to believe it, and yet, here you are. Look at yourselves. An ear over there, nose over there. Here you are. What if it's true? How would your life change? How would your personal life change if you let yourself connect with others, if you let yourself depend on others, if you let yourself share responsibility and gift, even with those who are different than you? How would our church change, right? What would happen if we did what our holy texts do and expand that even further and further? If we expand the idea bigger and bigger, if we saw our church community as one part of a larger body, a much larger body of God's people. Maybe we're like a hand over here, right? The fun Baptists. And then maybe even those Baptists that we try so hard to make sure people know that we're not like them. Maybe they're a foot in that same body. We'll make them a foot because they're kind of smelly, but I have to be a little bit, I'm human. I got to make a joke about the unfun Baptists. Maybe they're in the same body. I mean, for a lot of us, they're who got us to this place. We can give thanks for that. Maybe our Jewish siblings are over here, another arm of God's people. Our Muslim brothers and sisters alike, same body. Our Native American friends in Central Texas that we've been learning from, part of the same body. What if we all belong to each other? What if we really believed that? What if that was true? Right? It would make it a lot harder to kill each other, don't you think? We would see pain in the body as not something to cut off and exercise, something to heal. We, the hand, UBC over here, we're indispensable, and we're not alone. We're not alone in this work. We're in the same body with so many others, connecting our world with the divine, with creation. We're all interconnected, and if that's not the reign of God, I don't know what is. That's hard to believe, and also, what if it's true? What if that's what we're trying to proclaim every week here? How can you begin to open yourself up a little bit more, wherever you are? Open yourself up a little bit more to that interconnection. Maybe it's asking for help when you need it. Maybe it's sharing your story with a colleague. Maybe it's inviting someone new in to a space that feels like it's yours. Maybe it's sharing the responsibility and the gift of life together here. Beloveds, let this be our training ground. Let this be our training ground, our safe space to experiment and make mistakes and make amends and be a part of a miracle of moving forward together. May that posture of openness that we practice, that we bring to this space, may it overflow into all of the areas of our lives. May it spill out into our families, into our communities, and into the world. This is the work of the hands and feet of Christ. This is the work of the body that is God's people. May it be so. Amen.